what's even better than working on my car? Getting parts for my car. Just picked up from the dealership. Got all the washers I need for the clutch assembly. The clutch is this weird hub that you have to connect on the pressure plate. I had to go pick up all these washers and snap rings and wave washer and stuff, but hey, who doesn't like new parts? Alright, here in the garage, and I got today's project set out for today. So I dropped off this manifold to my buddy Herbie to change this V-band flange for the new wastegate I bought a precision 66mm. He went, tacked it on, started to weld it, and then he realized, and I didn't even notice, that this V-band has a pin in it. The index is where the wastegate goes so it doesn't spin. Whereas most wastegates I've had before never had this, but I guess when you go bigger, they want it to stay still. I don't know, a little upgrade they have that I didn't even notice. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna mount this manifold onto the engine, put the engine in the engine bay, and then make sure it's pointing in the direction that I want, the outlet for the wastegate. So I gotta pull the motor out, put it on the lift, put it in the car, get that in there, check it, see, make sure it's where I want it to be. And hopefully having the engine inside the engine bay will be some motivation. Been slacking a little bit on working on the car, but I'm sure getting the engine in there will look good, get some motivation, keep going, and we're going from there. So let's get started. Alright, so before I can go ahead and start dropping this motor in, I'm going to go ahead and remove the bumper, because last time I was pulling it out, the engine lift kept hitting up on the bumper right here. So it'll take me a few minutes to figure out how to take that off, then get rolling on throwing the motor in so I can get the precise location of that wastegate placement. Alright, so quick update. Started pulling off the bumper, got the headlights off, got the lower lip off, and it's hot. I don't feel like taking off the rest of the bumper and then take it off and have to store it somewhere. So I'm just going to leave it on and put it in the way I took it out. So I'm going to go ahead and get the engine loaded up on the hoist, drop it in, start measuring, and go from there. Woo! Alright, quick update, it's not in yet. So let's start on this side. So if you look here, that motor mount is in. It's through the motor mount, chassis is through the motor mount, but on this side I'm off by about 2 inches for it to go through. So I called Excessive Manufacturing, who I got both of the mounts from, and the guy on the phone suggested that I take the chassis mount off and actually loosely bolt it to the motor mount and then lower it as one assembly. You know, something about, you know, when the studs are too long and the angle. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen everything up, put it on the engine loosely, and lower it down, see if I can get that going. So let me give that a try. Alright, try to look like a mess. It's sweaty. I think the real feel out here is 100-something degrees, middle of the day. My shirt's soaked. But check this out. Cue the slow motion in the music. Alright, so I got the motor in. It's giving me some motivation. But it's also, bringing to light some things. So think about it. The plan is 800 horsepower. Bring the car out, have something fun. But in reality, I'd rather be driving a 450 horsepower car than have 800 horsepower car being built in the garage. Does that make sense? So instead of sitting here wiring dual fuel pumps and doing all this crazy stuff to make sure it's ready for 800 horsepower, I'd rather just get it together and drivable on a decent amount of horsepower and then slowly build it up from there, because the whole point is to be able to drive it and enjoy it, and sitting in the garage isn't exactly going to do that. So I think my plans are changing a little bit. Still same power goals, but I think now it's going to be a little bit quicker than getting the car back together. So I think we're only going to do the single 450 fuel pump for right now. The clutch setup, I'm not going to change yet. It's a little beat up, but I'll put it together. It should hold. Low boost. And then what else? Injectors. I have to buy new injectors, so I'm just going to buy the injectors I need. I'm going to buy some 2200 injectors. So realistically, from here to running, I just need to get the tranny tunnel beat out, get the tranny in, throw in the 450, wire in a -8 feed to the front, -6 return back to the tank. I'm not going to worry about the flex fuel sensor for now, because like I said, we just want to get it running, be able to enjoy it. And then what else after that? So that'll be the fuel system. I have the fuel rail, I have the fuel pressure regulator, get that on, that's the fuel. I have the clutch, tranny, get that in. I need to buy the ECU. So I need to buy the ECU, wire that up. That'll take a little while, I'm sure. And then after that, should be able to start it from there, and then I'll have to tow it to the machine shop and have them weld up the intercooler piping. And also, I'm just going to order a drive shaft online. So besides that, I mean, that's it. Like I said, plans are changing. Yeah, we still want 800 horsepower, but I'd rather drive 450 than have 800 sitting in the garage. Got the motor in, happy. I have to say, getting the motor in, helps build some motivation to keep going. I was slacking for a little bit, but seeing it in, it actually helps pinpoint what needs to be done to get it running, which actually isn't too much from here. But back to the main point of why we put it in. So my buddy Herbie is, Herbie's changing this V-band over here for the wastegate, and it has a pin index, and the way it's mounting the wastegate right now, it's actually slightly off, but not terrible. It would actually work the way it is, but I can't do this one-handed. So right now, the way it is, it's kind of facing the frame rail a little bit. I mean, I could leave it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but if we're double checking and we can get it exactly how we want, I would angle it a little bit like that. And it's a little bit straighter shot to come down into the car since I'm doing a screamer pipe. So let me go ahead and mark where I want it, and then I'll send it back to Herbie and he'll weld it up for me. Alright, I was going to get started on fitting the transmission, but honestly I don't feel like laying under the car and beating on it right now. So next best thing I can do to keep moving is I'm going to take all the junk out of my trunk and access the fuel pump and see what kind of room we have for 2 Walbros. Right now, like I said, the plan is just to get the car running, and I'm just going to install the single Walbro right now, but while I'm in there I'll see what room I have for 2. So let me take all this stuff out, pull the carpet up, and figure out where the fuel pump is on this thing. Alright, so I came back here, opened up this fuel tank access port. I was like, alright, let's check out what we got. I thought it was kind of weird, there's no ring around it like you normally see, and I pulled it up, and all it is the fuel sensor level. That's all it is. So now I gotta figure out where the fuel pump is. Yeah, see if I can figure that out. But troubleshooting, part of the fun. All right, so change of plans. Break. So we came here. Hold on, let me turn on the light. So I came here and I wanted to install, or at least pull out the old fuel pump, see how it looks, see how much room there was. And come to find out, the fuel pump sits right under here. So what you have to do is you have to cut this out or drop the tank. And guess what? I'm not going to drop the tank. So I'm just going to cut a hole and make an access plate to be able to get to it. So the plan was go to Publix, buy some dry ice, take off all the sound deadening, buy a little scraper. So I went to a local hardware store, bought a scraper, check. Asked them for dry ice, didn't have any, no problem. Publix is right next door. Walk over to Publix, and guess what? My local Publix doesn't carry dry ice. So this kind of stops my progress. For that, want to do the fuel pump, can't do that. Just coming to a halt today, so I guess that's the end of what's happening right now. So next time I come to work on the car, dry ice, alcohol, take all the sound deadening out, cut open the access panel, and get started on the fuel pump from there.
Filming.
What is it, John?
YouTube, comment, like this video if you like it. Watch some more if you don't like it. Horrible. Doing horrible.